anybody has any question, I attached a card. Any question, any comment, any feedback, because we're going to go for an hour, and if anyone needs to leave early, I understand, but then feel free, really, to check in with me. I love having feedback. I have basically been practicing in San Diego for over 10 years, and both as in an inpatient setting and an outpatient setting. When I worked in an inpatient setting, I worked with teens, young adults, and families, and a lot of those children had fairly severe issues. We had a lot of eating disorders, a lot of substance abuse, AD, and depression. And then in an outpatient setting, I still work with those issues. Some are milder, some are more severe. But the reason I started giving this talk is because years and years ago when I worked in an inpatient setting, I found that in our groups, because you mainly spend your time in groups with these different individuals, and a lot of families and a lot of young adult groups, and I noticed that we were pretty much giving the same, teaching the same skills over and over again to the families and to the children. And it was interesting, and these were very powerful. They had a profound impact on these kids. And I started to think, once I had my own children, I remember looking back and thinking, all parents should know these skills that we, in an inpatient setting, were teaching over and over and over, because in would come these kids who were 16, 17, 18, 20, and they didn't have these skills. And I can remember thinking, parents should all be teaching these skills to their kids when their kids are very young, so that when their kids hit these more challenging years, why should they not have these skills ready to go? So it just seemed to me that as a parent, it has helped me over the years to have these different techniques and skills, and I thought all parents should know this. So that's why I'm giving this talk. And I will go on from there. One thing I want to say is I don't want to overwhelm parents with the idea that, okay, here's a bunch of other things that you should be doing, because I think we have so much we're trying to do anyway, and I don't want to send out the message that if your child runs into difficulties, it's because we're failing in some way, because honestly, your child can have different biological predispositions, they have their own personality traits, they have their own preferences. We can only impact that so much. You're all here, which shows that you're passionate parents, obviously. So you're learning, you're open, you obviously care, you want to apply new things that you learn, so you're doing all the right things. I gave a talk once where a woman came up to me afterwards and she was very distraught. Her child was bipolar, and she kept saying to me, what did I do? She didn't do anything. Her child had a biological predisposition, and she was still an amazing parent. So I don't want us to ever put that burden on ourselves as though we have to do everything perfect so we can raise a perfect child. So let's let that go right now. Because I think it's too much pressure anyway. It's ridiculous. And here's the other thing I want to say is if you take two things from this talk that you remember and that you apply, either systematically or randomly, still you as a parent are in a very powerful role. The family is an interconnected system. So any small thing that you do can have a very big effect on your family. So just the fact that you're here and you're learning, if there's one small thing you take and you start applying it, you can have a very big impact on your family. So I want you to know that instead of thinking, oh my God, there's 10 things I've got to think about and do all the time. I don't want you to see it that way. Okay. We all have enough going on. Anyway, so a few of these habits require time and focus. I think we're probably all maxed out on time. So that's why I want to say, if you just do it now and then, or if you do it a lot would be great. If not, I understand. Okay, so let me go on from there and say that you hear a lot about the rebellious teen years and teenage angst as though it's a natural and inevitable developmental phase. In a lot of countries other than the U.S., you don't really see a lot of it. So I want to dispel this myth. Thank you, I'm getting nods. I want to dispel this myth that just because we have a teenager, we have to have non-communication, we have to have, let me see, because I have a little list here. Okay, that we don't have to go through a non-communicative stage. There doesn't have to be a phase where they just flat out don't listen to us, don't want to be around us. rebel against everything we say and basically think we're lame. It's not true. And I hear a lot of my friends say things like, oh my God, what that girl's putting them through, she's hitting the teen years and she's horrible. But I want to dispel this notion that you're going to all of a sudden have this strange creature in your home who you can't communicate with, or who we have to go ahead and accept the fact that they're just going to think we're idiots. Because I don't think that has to happen at all. And that, with the techniques that I give you, you can keep this mutually respectful communication going. And it's too easy, and I've done it myself, where I said to myself, oh boy, are we hitting the teen years? Oh, I wish she'd just go to bed. And I've done that myself. And you know what? There's more going on there, and there are things I can do to keep that communication open. So I want to get us away from that idea that, okay, we're going to have an alien for a few years, and then hopefully she comes back. And the other thing I want to say is it is true that as your children enter adolescence, they will turn their focus from their parents to their peers to decide what's cool and how they want to act. That's true, but only to a degree. The more solid grounding your child has, the less they'll be influenced by peers in the wrong direction, and that's borne out by the research. And here's the other piece that I think people forget. They may not be as interested in your advice or what you tell them verbally about how to do something, but they are watching you as a role model, and they're learning from you maybe more than they ever have. So they're looking for inconsistencies. They're looking for, wait a minute, they want me to do it this way, and they're doing it that way. They're going to be picking up on that because their brains are developing in a way, their frontal lobes are developing in a way that means they're going to have more acute critical thinking. And I mean critical thinking. And they're going to turn that on us. Part of that is just going to feel like a real bother and a real pain. But part of it is they're really maturing. And their brains are going to start weighing things out. I see this, but I see that. And why am I seeing this and that? Why am I hearing this and they're doing that? So even though you may feel that your influence has diminished, it really has not. It might have from a verbal standpoint. They may not want to hear it, but they're watching you. And they're watching you very carefully. So that's where you're still having a very strong influence on them, but it's more in your